Profesor Jang dapat melakukan tugas sebagai profesor dan juga sebagai seorang yang mempunyai kuasa di Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia. So terima kasih banyak kepada Jawatankuasa dan saya akan mengikuti kuliah inilah, kuliah Profesor Ajong ini secara dalam talian. So terima kasih banyak kepada Jawatankuasa. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Sama-sama Prof. So much again.
Waalaikumsalam. Bagi pihak majlis, saya merakamkan ucapan setinggi penghargaan dan terima kasih kepada Profesor Dr. Muhammad Mazlan Awang di atas ucapan alu-aluan yang disampaikan tadi. Baiklah, para peserta webinar yang dihormati, kini kita tiba ke muncak acara iaitu perkongsian yang akan disampaikan oleh Yang Berbahagia Dr. Ahmad Rafi, Timbalan Ketua Pengarah Pendidikan Malaysia, Sektor Dasar dan Kurikulum. Sebelum itu, izinkan saya kongsikan sedikit biografi Yang Berbahagia Dr. Ahmad Rafi. Okey. Saya mulakan dengan latar belakang akademik beliau iaitu bermula dengan ijazah sarjana muda Sains Pendidikan Biologi daripada Universiti Malaya, kemudian melanjutkan pengajian di peringkat sarjana pengurusan Sains Pengurusan di Universiti Utara Malaysia. Seterusnya beliau memperoleh ijazah Doktor Falsafah dalam Sains Maklumat dan Teknologi Pembelajaran dari Universiti Missouri Columbia, Amerika Syarikat. Dari segi kerjaya, memulakan kerjayanya sebagai pendidik pada tahun 1993 dan kemudian beliau melebarkan kerjaya beliau sebagai pensyarakanan dan ketua pusat di Institut Aminuddin Baki dan seterusnya menjawat jawatan sebagai pengarah di IAB Cawangan Genting Highlands. Pada tahun 2015, beliau memegang jawatan sebagai Timbalan Pengarah Bahagian Dasar dan Penyelidikan Pendidikan, diikuti dengan pelantikan sebagai Timbalan Ketua Pengarah Sektor Dasar dan Kurikulum pada 2017 dan seterusnya pada 2018, beliau telah memegang jawatan sebagai Pengarah Bahagian Dasar dan Penyelidikan Pendidikan. Kerjaya beliau diteruskan dengan kenaikan pangkat dan berkhidmat sebagai Timbalan Ketua Pengarah Pelajaran Malaysia Sektor Operasi Sekolah bermula 2019 hingga Disember 2019 dan seterusnya sebagai Timbalan Ketua Pengarah Pelajaran Malaysia dalam profesionalisme sektor pembangunan dan jawatan terkini yang disandang oleh Jawatan terkini yang disandang oleh Yang Berbahagia Dr. Ahmad Rafi adalah sebagai Timbalan Ketua Pengarah Pendidikan Malaysia Sektor Dasar dan Kurikulum di Kementerian Pendidikan Malaysia. Untuk makluman para peserta webinar juga, untuk makluman Yang Berbahagia Dr. Ahmad Rafi juga adalah dilantik sebagai Profesor Adjung di Fakulti Pendidikan Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Baik, itu sedikit sebanyak berkenaan dengan biodata bagi saya satu prestasi kerjaya yang sangat mengagumkan. Baik, tanpa melengahkan masa, majlis dengan membesar hati mempersilakan Yang Berbahagia Dr. Ahmad Rafi untuk menyampaikan webinar yang bertajuk Dasar dan Kurikulum, Isu, Cabaran dan Strategi ke Arah Melahirkan Generasi Berkompetensi Global. Silakan Yang Berbahagia Doktor.
Baik, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, salam Malaysia Madani, salam Ramadan Al-Mubarak. Terima kasih Dr. Faridah, Yang Bahagia Prof. Dr. Muhammad Mazlan, Dekan Fakulti Pendidikan UKM, Profesor Madya, Dr. BT, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, Profesor, Datuk, hadirin hadirat saya hormati sekalian. Pertama sekali terima kasih atas jemputan pihak Fakulti Pendidikan UKM menjemput saya untuk hadir dalam sesi pada pagi ini dan saya di pihak KPM amat berbesar hati di atas kesudian pihak universiti khususnya UKM yang menjemput KPM untuk bersama-sama dalam wacana ilmu sebegini untuk kita sama-sama berkongsi idea dan memberi penjelasan perkara-perkara yang berlaku di dalam sistem pendidikan negara, juga perkara-perkara yang berlaku di peringkat global yang perlu kita pelajari. Saya difahamkan untuk sesi hari ini kita ada ramai peserta-peserta luar negara dan saya diminta untuk menyediakan dalam bahasa Inggeris, so saya mohon keizinan untuk deliver the discussion in English insyaAllah. Yeah. So now the topic given to me is policy and curriculum. challenges and strategies towards producing a highly competent generation. So it's such a huge title. It's a huge aim and goal to achieve. So I would like to touch a little bit on how we can look at our system from a holistic point of view, as well as looking at the lesson learned from other systems in the world. Let me share this slide with you. Okay, so the major part of this presentation will be based on looking at the study by Professor Jeff Masters from ACAR, whereby he looked at a study on system in the world, the top performing system in the world, such as British Columbia in Canada, Estonia, Finland, Hong Kong, and Korea. So when we look at PISA, we are actually looking at the system development, how a system in the world carry their education system to form a country that is competent and ready to form a society that can contribute to the world. These 5 systems or countries being studied by ACAR among the top performers in PISA for the past 3 to 5 cycles. And there are many lessons learned from many of the systems in the world. But for the purpose of this session, I was given 1 hour. So I will look at the 5 main strategies that we should learn from. And for Malaysia, this is where we should emulate and change our system towards achieving a developed nation. So the 5 strategies mentioned by Professor Jeff Masters in this study consists of the main 5 focus on a world-class learning system. So when we talk about learning system, it's not just about education in the school. It's not just about imparting knowledge or the content to the children in the school, but a learning system consists of a combination of the curriculum, the system that support the curriculum, the delivery of the curriculum, the support center surrounding the community, and also the teaching fraternity in the world. So I want to elaborate on these 5 strategies, and from there, some of the lessons learned that we look, particularly after the pandemic, when OECD released PISA 2022 results last December. So to start with, let's look at the 5 focus on strategies to create a world-class learning system. Number 1, focus on education reform, on system transformation. So I will elaborate further on that one. Secondly, redesign curricula to promote holistic learning. So, and as we know, currently in Malaysia, the Ministry of Education is embarking on a workshop throughout the country to get feedback from communities, from teachers, university professors, parents, corporate, and also from industry on how we can improve our curriculum in the future. And these are some of the bases for our effort right now to improve our curriculum. Number 3, create more flexible curriculum structure. And I will share some of the ideas that we have gathered based on this strategy. Number 4, reconceptualize the purpose of assessment. So this is one of the things that being discussed every day. Professor Mahzan mentioned about people criticizing the system, criticizing MOE. The major part of it is based on the assessment. And number 5, the fifth strategy is to pursue equity by addressing individual needs. Let's look at these 5 strategies one by one. Now, the challenge of every education system is to prepare people for the future. So in order to have a student that is holistic, has the ability not just to learn as an individual, but able to communicate, collaborate, and grow up with the people surrounding them. So in order to prepare these young people for life, for work, so that they can contribute to the nation, we need a coherent system whereby all components address the common challenges faced by an individual, a community, and a society. So in order for all these factors to work together, we need to look across the board as a system. We need a good quality curriculum. We need a good assessment process. We need good people that can deliver the effective teaching in the classroom and also outside the classroom. We need strong and comprehensive student support system. We also need strong leadership of learning. And also, we need a good supportive learning ecosystem. So by looking at the whole ecosystem of education, that is the only way. All this system that did very, very well in PISA, they managed to move the system from a point that they were before having that transformation to the current system where they are good. So in Malaysia, learning from this first strategy, we are moving towards preparing for our new generation of students to have a brand new curriculum that's going to take place in 2027. And also, together with that curriculum, we will have the whole support system, including the delivery, the teacher training, pedagogy, assessment, the support system, the support to the wellness of the students, as well as the community. So we will look into that later on in how Malaysian curriculum system is going to be developed soon. The second strategy is promoting holistic learning. The issue that we face currently, our curriculum emphasizes so much on content. So we know that a good curriculum is not just based on facts. It's not just based on procedural knowledge, but also understanding, deep understanding and skills. So these are some of the aspects that we have learned from our experience going through various cycles of international assessment, such as PISA, TIMSS, and also CPLM, Southeast Asia Primary Learning Metrics. So we know that our students in Malaysia, they are able to read. So literacy and numeracy is not a problem. They are able to read, they are able to do simple mathematics. But the moment we go deeper to have a better understanding of things, that is where we are facing the issue. If you look at the latest result on CPLM, the regional assessment that we did for 10 years old in the ASEAN region, we found that in Malaysia, almost 100% of our students able to master the level of reading from level 1 to level 5. The majority is at level 3. So 1, 2, 3, they are okay. But those at the higher level, at level 4 and level 5, are quite small. It's just about 20% of the whole 10-year-old in Malaysia. So we know that that is an area where we need to improve. We have done good. Congratulations to our teachers in Malaysia who are able to teach our students to read and write and do mathematics. They are able to do that. But that is not enough to compete at the global level. We need to push further. We need to make sure that the students not only able to read on the superficial level, but able to think critically, able to solve problems, able to collaborate and communicate among each other. These are some of the issues that we have faced, and it's a challenge to move from this stage to another level. In the webinar last month we did with OECD, Andres Leiker, the Director of Education and Training for OECD, suggested that Malaysia focus on narrowing down our curriculum in order to enable us to go deeper. Because currently, our curriculum is too wide. We have a lot of content that we want to put into our curriculum. And that causes a limitation of time because we try to cover so much in a very small period of time. And these are some of the things that we're going to do for our next curriculum in 2027. I will touch a little bit more on that later on. Now, the third strategy, focusing on progression. So this is another challenge that we face. It's not just us in Malaysia, but also globally, other countries in the world also having problem. Many of the systems in the world where we have a standard that we look one cohort at a time. And our assumption that every children at this set of age able to do this set of tasks, able to understand this amount of knowledge. So with that kind of premise, so we move from one cohort to another, assuming that everybody within that cohort can master within the same period of time. So like in Malaysia, our progression from standard 1 to standard 2, standard 3, 4, 5, and 6 is automatically. So whether they have mastered or not, they will be automatically progress to the next stage for the following year. So in PISA, we found that there are small number of countries who choose to repeat the grade, but OECD advise these countries that repeating a grade is not a good thing. Rather than they repeat the grade, we should be able to give ample time, more time to the students so that we can follow through and allow for progress for the children. So this is a huge challenge. In the Malaysian context, we know that our children in school, the time given to us at school normally from 7:30 to 1:30. So that's the time. So when we go around the country in our roadshow, getting feedback from parents, from our stakeholders, many ask us to create more knowledge, to add more skills, to add more opportunities for them to explore. Yes, it is good. We know that the society wants us to add more to school to prepare the students, but the time limit given to us is still the same. We still start school at 7 a.m. in the morning and ends at 1:30. The most is 2 o'clock. And many of our schools still double session. So the school have to stop at 1 o'clock so that we can have the second session in the evening. So these are some conditions that we need to look at. It's not just simply giving extra time, adding more tasks, adding more opportunities to learn. And it's not that simple or not that easy to do that. So one of the things that we have established in our framework of the new curriculum is to enable an integration of subjects. So in order to add more, we need to take out something. So what to take out? And there are issues when we take out something from the existing curriculum. So there's a lot of group that's going around the country now, getting feedback and also forming a new formula so that in the future, we have time to look at not just the same for everybody, but giving focus to a group of students. In this book by Professor Masters, he mentioned about certain countries that focusing a group of students as broad stages of learning. Therefore, this group of students given extra time, given extra attention so that they can improve and get back to the same level as their colleagues in the same cohort. Also, some countries, they allow for teachers to spend more time with the children by having or remain with the same class of students over the years. So, for instance, a teacher teaching in year 1 will follow the class to year 2, year 3, year 4, and so on, because they understand the children better. So they understand the progress made by each child in the classroom, and also allow them to understand the needs of each and every single child in that class. So it is nice to have that, but we know as a country in Malaysia where we have 430,000 teachers throughout the country, is not that easy. There's a lot of challenges in managing that, but I'm sure we can improve the way we do things because we decided we want a different results. And therefore, in order to have a different result, we need to do things differently. So inshallah, we will have a different way of tackling this issue in the future, particularly for our 2027 curriculum. Right, the fourth strategy, the conceptualizing assessment. So this is one of the most challenging and hardest thing to do, to replace traditional assessment concepts. They share in the study that many countries in the world are shifting from the traditional assessment concept to a new progressive way of assessment. So in Malaysia as well, we've introduced PBS, school-based assessment, 11 years ago. But at the same time, we still have our centralized examination. But when we abolish UPSR, the year 6 assessment, it became a big hoo-ha in the country. Everybody start asking questions, how good is the assessment? How reliable is? Do you trust the teacher? But we have prepared our teachers for this school-based assessment. But so far, we have seen that the school-based assessment or PBDs help teachers to understand the needs of each and every child in the classroom. That's the purpose of that assessment. But when we look at PBS or PBD through a different perspective as a centralized assessment, that causes a problem. And therefore, in the future, for Curriculum 2027, the way we look at assessment is different. When we design the new curriculum, we ask questions about immediately how this unit, this topic is going to be assessed. Because the assessment itself is not just a traditional assessment, paper and pencil or computer-based assessment, but the assessment itself can be in many forms. So we hope that our future curriculum will be much, much better, and people will accept the versatility of the new concept of assessment that we're going to introduce for our 2027 curriculum. And the fifth strategy, achieving equity. So the purpose of equity is to ensure that all students have access to essentials for success. We need to give extra because we know our children, their needs are different. in Malaysia particularly, for the past 60 years, we have been trying very, very hard to reduce the gap between the rural and urban schools, rural and urban communities. So there are a lot of support given to our rural schools, and we try to give the maximum capability so that the children, especially those in the rural areas, in the interior, remote areas, can have sufficient resources, books, computers, meals, access to internet, and so on. But the most important thing, they have access to a high quality teacher. So we have implemented this for so long, and the quality of teacher in Malaysia, either in Kuala Lumpur, in the city, or in Baram, in Gua Musang, the level, the quality of teacher is the same, regardless of the place. And when we look at our Malaysia Education Blueprint, or PPPM 2013-2025, we have seen that the past 10 years, we have managed to reduce the gap. It used to be about 0.6% difference between achievement of schools, children in the rural areas and also in urban areas. Urban did well than the rural areas. But after 10 years of the Malaysia Education Blueprint, we have seen the reduce of the gap from 0.6 to 0.4, 0.43 if I'm not mistaken. So it shows some success when we try to provide the best for all children, giving them extra meals, support, resources, teachers, and so on. They are able to improve, and therefore we can reduce the gap. However, in the latest PISA results, and also concerned not just in Malaysia, but also other parts of the world, the gap between the social, economic strata, that is an issue. Within the city area, we have seen the lower SES did not perform as well as the higher SES. And this is where our focus will be for the current and the future curriculum and system in Malaysia, whereby we're going to give more emphasis on supporting the needs of children, whether in rural areas or in urban areas, but the needs of the low SES. Bantuan awal persekolahan, the support 150 ringgit given to all students is one of the ways that MOE is doing to support the children and the families, as well as RMT, Rancangan Makanan Tambahan. And there are 19 different type of support given to the children, regardless of whether they are in the urban area or in the rural areas. As long as they are lower SES, we will give more. And in the future, inshallah, we try to give more to them, and we try to look at the specific area of needs for them. Because we know children in Bandaraya, in PPR, they have different needs than children in Felda, in Kampung, or in Pulau, in islands. So these are the things that we need to study further and try to learn so that we can improve our education system. So those are the 5 main strategies suggested by Professor Jeff Masters, looking at PISA result from some of the top performers in PISA for the past 10 years until 2018. After OECD announced PISA 2022 results in December, they also proposed some other ideas that we can learn from. So I would like to share a little bit some of the PISA 2022 result, suggesting that things that we can do, that we can improve, things that we should pay attention to so that we can develop a more resilient students in our school. Number one, this is based PISA 2022, which is after the pandemic. Some of the things overlap the 5 main strategies that I mentioned earlier, but some of these are quite unique, particularly that we can see clearly during the pandemic. Number one is the student well-being. To have a resilient system, we need to provide a strong foundation of learning and well-being of all students. Students should feel safe to come to school. They should be ready to learn. And from PISA 2022, we know that many students that come to school hungry. They didn't have proper meals, and therefore that we have an impact on them on learning. How can they learn while they are hungry? And we have seen a correlation between result of students who come to school hungry with those who have everything with them. So providing well-being for children will be one of the main focus of Malaysia. Inshallah, we want the children to feel safe to come to school and happy to come to school. That's why currently we are focusing more on making sure that all the guidelines at school level, particularly on bullying, on sexual harassment, is being taken care of. So make sure that everybody follow the rules, make sure that we provide a safe and conducive environment for the children, including the toilets in school. So those are some of the things that we already done immediately after the pandemic. Number two, qualified staff. I already mentioned that we already done that. Like in Malaysia, all our teachers now, almost 100% of our teachers in the MOE are graduates, and many of them did advanced degree, masters, and PhD as well. Now, the third one, this is being highlighted in the PISA 2022, the role of digital resources. We have seen, and from our own experience going through the pandemic, resilient system have high quality digital resources. Like if you look across the OECD countries, in general, the ratio of children to computers is about 0.6 throughout the countries participants of the PISA 2022. But for 15-year-old who took PISA among the OECD countries, the ratio is almost 1-to-1. It shows that they provide digital access, computers to children, so that they use the digital resources, the digital tools to learn, as well as for the assessment itself. This is where we are lacking behind our children. Even though we provide access at school level, the number of the ratio of computer to children is still very, very low. And therefore, these are some of the things that we need to focus, and we need support, not just from the government, but also from the community, from the corporate sector, from the industry, to support our system. In each cohort, we have about 400,000 children. So if we can provide each one of the child coming to a school with a computer, with an iPad, with a laptop, with any digital device, that can replace the textbook that they're going to use. The MOE already prepared digital textbooks. We even have interactive textbooks ready today, and they can access all those through the Lima platform. But many of our children don't have access to the digital devices. So when people comparing between Malaysia and Brunei, for instance, for PISA 2022, if you look at the report in volume 1 of PISA, yes, they did better than Malaysia, but we look at access to digital resources. Almost 100% of Brunei students already have digital devices with them, and they can learn online throughout the time where we closed the schools during pandemic. So whereas Malaysian students, almost 2 years, 174 days, they were away from school. And right a month and a half after coming back to school, they set for PISA 2022. So that's one of the reasons that we can see clearly how having this or not having digital resources has an impact, a huge impact on the students. The third one, less grade repetition. I've already mentioned that. Professor Masters also mentioned that in the study, and OECD recommended that we should reduce the grade repetition, but find ways to allow them to have more time to progress. The next one is resilient mindsets. Resilient education system develop resilient individuals who can adjust to everyday challenges. If you look at the result from PISA earlier on, 2012, 2015, 2018, we can see those countries, especially in Shanghai, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Vietnam, has very high number of resilient students. The students have high resilience. They have high hope. They know they need to move up. They have positive mindset where they have belief that they can change. They are able to change. They can improve themselves. This is what we are lacking in Malaysia. The questionnaire for the children in Malaysia, for PISA, for instance, we know that the number of students in Malaysia with the positive growth mindset is quite low as compared to our neighbors. So this is another area that we should look at. Our teachers play an important role here, but the role of parents is fundamental in this area. Andrew Sliker, in the webinar that I mentioned earlier on, he mentioned about this global phenomena whereby parents is letting go their responsibility to the schools. They're assuming that the schools can teach and make their children grow up. So this has to change. And we have seen that in Malaysia as well, whereby the responsibility of teachers to help the children to feel safe in school, able to learn, and have a strong belief that they can improve, they can be better than their parents, they can be better than their neighbors, they can be better than our neighboring countries. So the responsibility is placed on the teachers. And this is one of the phenomena that we have seen, which is quite serious, and we need to change. So to have resilient mindsets, it needs not just the teachers at school level, but also the parent at school. So this is the role of the society to work closely with the teachers at school level to make sure that our children have that opportunity to change, to improve, and a positive mindset. And the next one, resilient learners. Resilient learners can adapt to various tasks and environments. They take advantage of opportunities. So they are able, they are flexible. And this is one of the characteristics that in our new curriculum that's going to develop for 2027, being flexible. So if we remember the first point that we mentioned about narrowing down the curriculum, and also we narrow down the curriculum in order to allow more space for children to explore and understand better. This is one of the areas that we need to focus, and I hope that we will have that opportunity in our new curriculum. There are other lessons as well. I want to allow time for you to ask questions, to discuss, to share your views. I will take another like 5 minutes and then we can start our discussion. I've seen a lot of hands already raised there. Okay. These are some of the lesson learned that OECD suggested to us. But I just want to touch on one thing, on distraction by digital devices. I mentioned just now about how many of the systems in the world, particularly during pandemic, the role of digital devices help them to learn so they can improve. However, there is an issue of distraction caused by digital devices in class. In Malaysia, currently we allow to use digital devices in classroom, but smartphone is not allowed. So that's a pro and cons in that area. We have been discussing that. We are having SLU since 2015 and still going on the discussion whether we should allow children to bring telephone or smartphone to school, to classroom. So these are the things that we will discuss later, and I would like to hear from you, your views on this. Now, OECD from PISA 2022 shows that students who spend up to 1 hour per day on learning on digital devices at school outperform those who didn't by 14 points. So it shows a strong contribution from the digital devices in learning mathematics, for instance. However, the students reported that they are being distracted by using these digital devices. In case of Argentina, up to 54% being distracted, but in Japan, only 5%. So we need to look further why the distraction in Argentina is a lot higher than in Japan. So one of the things mentioned is self-discipline or self-regulatory by students in Japan, because in Japan they instill self-discipline from earlier on, and the children have very strong discipline of using all these devices. So if the teacher allow to use the devices, the digital devices for learning, and they will only use it, and rather than being distracted and go elsewhere. So these are some of the things that we need to consider, especially if we want to change and move our system further. So for Malaysia, what do we want to do? So we want to have our system that able to produce highly competent and harmonious individuals. Therefore, we look at how we can provide children that are able to compete globally, but at the same time, they can be good and responsible citizens. They can appreciate unity and harmony, and they respect diversity. So these are the thing, the main concept that we want to have for our children in the future. And it's not easy. It's not an easy job. And we need everybody to chip in, give your ideas, give support, and because these are our children. So we're going to leave the country to them. So we need to make sure that we prepare the best. So for MOE, currently, we have developed the main framework of our future curriculum for 2027. And we have done several roadshows. We did it last week in Kuching, Sarawak. We had done that in KL, in Kuala Selangor as well. And then we're going to go to another 10 locations throughout the country to share our intention. But in our curriculum, these are the main guiding principle. And this guiding principle, we look at the lesson learned, not just from our existing system in Malaysia, but also we look at the lesson learned from international assessment such as PISA, TIMSS, and CPLM. I mentioned about having curriculum that's flexible, simple, therefore it has multi-modal. People can learn and using different types of approaches. But we know in order to have that curriculum, there are three main components that we need to focus on. The first one is the content. So content itself an issue for us, because now we try to reduce the content in order to give them opportunity to go deeper in each one of the curriculum content. But another challenge that we need to focus on is the pedagogy, how to deliver the content. And the third one is the assessment. How do we know that the content has been delivered and understood by the children? Therefore, the assessment itself must come in. So having all this put together, this will become the framework of the new curriculum. And in our session, our roadshows, we provide opportunities for communities, society to give feedback. to give suggestion. What do you expect your children to do? What do you expect your children to learn and to achieve in the future? And we are using this to develop our new curriculum for 2027, and hopefully the next generation will be generation that can develop our country. I think I stop here and we can open up for Q&A. Thank you.
Majlis merakamkan setinggi penghargaan dan terima kasih kepada yang berbahagia Dr. Ahmad Rafi di atas perkongsian yang saya anggap satu yang sangat bermanfaat dan berinformasi kepada para peserta webinar hari ini. Dan saya melihat bagaimana Dr. Ahmad Rafi cuba melihat perkembangan pendidikan dalam konteks global dan bagaimana ia perlu disesuaikan dalam kerangka nasional. Dan saya yakin Dr. Ahmad Rafi ini bukan bergantung pada kementerian sahaja, tetapi ia adalah satu usaha kolektif yang melibatkan pelbagai pihak. Okey, kemudian sesi kita teruskan dengan sesi soal jawab. Sekiranya ada soalan daripada peserta webinar, anda boleh bertanya terus kepada penceramah iaitu Dr. Ahmad Rafi secara terus ataupun boleh dinyatakan di ruangan chat. Okey. For dear participants, okay, we now continue with question and answer sessions. So if you have any questions to our Dr. Ahmad Rafi, you can just ask directly, or else you can text in our chat group. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, Doctor.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm Walter. I'm a teacher from Sarawak, and then currently I'm doing a research on harnessing CSR initiatives in promoting or enhancing the English language curriculum, particularly for secondary school students in Sarawak. So basically, I am really thankful for the very insightful information that you have provided us with. Obviously, a very well thought out content. Thank you for the sharing, Doctor. But there is one thing that I noticed might not be established well in the, I mean, like it could be in the content, but I don't see that the importance is given to the CSR collaboration or establishing a PPP, private partner relationship or collaboration with the MOE. I think everyone is aware that we have something like trust school programs under Yayasan Ame, together with MOE as well. And other than that, we have schools like MRSM, SBP. And then when we talk about equity and access, it seems like my school, which is one of the school that is located in the rural areas, are not having access to all this privilege that all these schools have been enjoying for so many years. And I believe that one of the first steps could be, number one, preparing the right environment for the students. And then in schools, teachers, we have been struggling to provide the best for the students without the actual help from the ministry. For example, if you have a look at the hostel condition, we don't have even proper bedding, we don't have proper mattresses and all. Some students are still laying on the floor, on the wooden floor and all, which somehow is very demotivating. And then in achieving access and equity, which has been also discussed in PPM, it has, I agree when you said that there is a reduction in the gap, the disparity gap. Yes, there is. We applaud the ministry for the effort, but it seems like experiencing it on the ground. I might not have been teaching for too long. I have been in this system for 12 years. There is hardly any improvement, to be honest. We are still begging for those environment to be improved. And obviously, part of my research is studying on the possibility of enhancing the collaboration or harnessing the benefit from this CSR initiative. perhaps something that we may want to consider to be included in the framework as well. I'm not sure, it could be included somewhere because this is just the framework for the 2027 curriculum. Perhaps any feedback from you, Doctor? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your view on that. And of course, the answer is yes. It is included in the curriculum, the new curriculum 2027, whereby the role of parents, for instance, in many of our sessions, we have heard from parents that they want to come in and support the school. Last week in Kuching, parents in Kuching suggested that having parents to come to school, one, to help in terms of student reading. And we have seen success, particularly post-pandemic, where we have a lot of children who are not able to read. So partnership with parents, CSR from companies, NGOs, and so on, have shown huge success. And in the new curriculum, we want to have that kind of support built in within the structure. So it's not an ad hoc thing that we add later on when we need it, but as well it's built in the curriculum itself. So we look forward to that. But in terms of equity, the support, we are still struggling. It's not just MOE. Even, you know, in Sarawak, when we have Pen Borneo itself changed a lot. A lot of schools who previously have no access to electricity or water, and now having Pen Borneo to develop the area. So it helped the school as well, and helped the student and also the parents. So we know that there's a long way to go, but we are not looking back. We have high hope that we can change. And I'm sure if we work together, not just MOE, but also with other corporate partners, with society, inshallah, we will be better. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Terima kasih. Is there any other question from participant? Okay, Dr. Marafi izinkan saya untuk membaca soalan yang ada di ruangan chat ni.
Okay.
Okay, soalan saya rasa is a reflection from Katirasan Murti, and also a question, which is it's some reflection about can access to the chat. Good morning, Doctor. Throughout my teaching, I focus more on background and existing knowledge of the students. When we look at some of the teaching content, the level is very high. That's true. Because of different students such as rural and urban students. My question is, can we make modification in teaching so that the application of the curriculum is easier to difficult? So for Doctor's information, I will still follow the standard of teaching content. I suggest for future planning to provide a teacher's guidebook or embrace various types of activities such as those make assessment based on existing 5 elements. Do you want to respond on this, Dr. Marafi?
Yes. Cikgu Katirasan, thank you so much. I'm sure the issue raised about the level, the high standard that we set in the curriculum. So we have listened to the teachers. For instance, last year we had 8 roadshow throughout the country talking about curriculum as well as the assessment. And the teachers mentioned about particularly for Standard 1, Standard 2, and Standard 3, the standard set in the curriculum is quite high. So in order to, if we want to wait for 2027, it's quite late. So at the ministry right now, I believe on Monday, there will be an announcement about how we can look at the current curriculum and how allowing the teachers to focus on certain part of the curriculum that is suited to the children that they're handling at that particular day and time. And the tools that you mentioned about teacher guide just now, the tools that teachers can use to deliver that content. One example that's already being implemented so far under the BPK Curriculum Development Division is MOBIM. MOBIM is being used widely by teachers, including teachers who are not option teachers, to teach those subjects, particularly mathematics and science. So we have seen success in those two modules, MOBIM, and we are going to expand that. You will see explanation. I think there will be a webinar on the 18th or 21st of March by Bahagian Pembangunan Kurikulum, BPK, to explain in how teachers can use the current DSKP, but with a certain way of reducing the level that you can fit or best suit the children that you are teaching. So just wait for next week. I think on the 18th or on the 21st, there will be a webinar, a series of webinar starting on the 18th by BPK and also Bahagian Sekolah Harian. And they will explain how to use this tool, including the guidebook. And for the Curriculum 2027, we are going to have and develop a teacher's guidebook together with the textbook, if we are going to use a textbook. It's not decided yet, but definitely there will be a guidebook for teachers to allow them to teach a different level of students.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Dr. Rafi, for the answer. Okay, allow me to repeat another question. This is from Noraida. Okay, Assalamualaikum, Dr. Rafi. I would like to ask quite a few questions. Okay, the first one I think is about the focusing on the progression strategy too. Okay, Noraida's question is about the strategies about did the teacher remain with the same students over a number of years? Okay, do you mean for all levels or maybe for certain core subjects? All right, is it good to track the students' progression, but learning with the same teacher for many years may bring other implication as well? This is what another questions from Noraida is strategies 3. Do you want to respond that question?
Yeah, I think I agree with her. It's not being fixed yet.
Right.
So what I shared were some suggestion by Professor Masters, learning from the high performing systems like in Estonia and Finland, and the idea of teachers following the children from their experience look like is more fitted for the lower forms in the early years, so that the teachers have more time to understand the children. But it may or may not be suitable for secondary education, for instance. So it's not being decided yet. So we still have time and we want to listen to you.
All right, interesting. Okay, another question from Noraida. Okay, strategies regarding strategy 3. Restructure the curriculum around the learning progressions is the best suggestions, but also the biggest challenge. Can Doctor explain more on this? Oh, yes, that's it. Noraida, you are there. So supposedly you can just, if you have anything, you can further ask with Dr. Rafi directly, I think, if you have further clarification for this.
Dr. Rafi, Assalamualaikum. May I add for the second question, because I'm asking for the strategy 3, when we talk about restructure the curriculum around learning progression, and you mentioned about the mastery learning. I believe mastery learning is the best approach, but how can we cope within the time bound restricted for each school session, or is this for again for certain subjects, certain core subjects, or killer subjects denominated as maths, or maybe other than that? Can Doctor please explain more on this? Thank you.
Maybe a short one, just a short one, because I need to rush to the parliament. I need to be in parliament soon. Now, you mentioned about the mastery strategy. I think that's one of the best approaches. It may not be the best for everything, but one of the best approaches able to be used by a teacher in a classroom. So we know the challenges. If you have so many children in your classroom, it's hard to apply this strategy, teaching strategy on mastery learning. But mastery learning is one of the things that we believe being used by high performance system in the world. In Shanghai, for instance, I had the opportunity to listen, to be in the classroom where a teacher teach 42, 43 children in the classroom. But the teacher employ mastery learning techniques in the classroom. So she has groups of students, but she got an assistant teacher, but actually it's another teacher from the next classroom, but they sort of co-teach, doing it together, and they're able to do mastery learning in the classroom. So in our workshop recently for developing the new curriculum for 2027, approach of mastery learning plus with team teaching is being accepted very, very well among the teachers who attended the workshop. In fact, in Kuching last week, during the session, I asked questions to several teachers in Kuching, as well as several students who were together in the workshop in the roadshow in Kuching. They said that they enjoy having team teaching in the classroom, where the teachers team teach and they have more opportunity. So this strategy also related to the suggestion to narrow down the curriculum so that we have ample time to go deeper. So those who have mastered can go deeper, whereas teachers can give more attention to those who are struggling to get to the basic. So I think combining strategy of team teaching together with mastery learning would be one of the best strategies for the future. I don't know the rest. I am not an expert in specific areas, but I'm sure we have our expert teachers, our officers, our lecturers who are able to find the best ways that we can develop. But end of the day, the best strategy in the classroom is decided by the teacher in the classroom, not from somewhere else. Thank you.
Exactly, true enough. Totally agree with that, Dr. Ahmad Rafi. Okay, soalan seterusnya daripada Siti Zaliha. Siti Zaliha bertanya soalan berkenaan dengan adakah KPM, guru dan murid kita mempunyai kesediaan yang tinggi dalam menghadapi ujian PISA 2025 dan dengan berakhirnya Pelan Pembangunan Pendidikan Malaysia 2013-2025.
Okey, soalan ini tentang PISA 2025. Soalan ditanya, adakah kita mempunyai kesediaan yang tinggi? Sejauh mana tinggi, saya tak ada alat ukurnya. Tapi kalau kita bandingkan dengan persediaan kita untuk PISA 2022, definitely we are much better now compared to 2022. Semasa PISA 2022, anak-anak kita baru masuk ke sekolah. Cikgu baru berjumpa mereka secara bersemuka. Sebulan setengah lepas tu dah sit untuk PISA. Kan? Jadi itu, anak-anak itu komputer pun, ramai yang saya tahu di tempat-tempat tertentu, komputer pun kali pertama. Anak-anak ini dapat pegang komputer, berlatih menjawab soalan dengan komputer. Sedangkan setiap hari dalam pembelajaran mereka, mereka menggunakan kertas dan pensel. So itu saja dah berbeza. Tapi insyaAllah untuk PISA 2025, bulan depan, bulan April sudah pun mula kita punya pilot test untuk beberapa sekolah untuk PISA 2025 dan tahun hadapan pada bulan 4 dan 5, April and May next year, mereka akan menduduki PISA. So dari segi persediaan, betapa tingginya saya tak boleh ukur lah, tak tahu lagi kan, tetapi dari segi persediaan berbanding dengan 2022, insyaAllah kita lebih bersedia kali ini dan saya yakin cikgu-cikgu kita buat macam-macam dalam aspek survey PISA 2022 tu. Kita antara negara yang mana daripada kuesioner yang ditakbirkan mendapati guru-guru di Malaysia antara yang paling tinggi usaha, inisiatif dan sokongan terhadap pembelajaran murid, khususnya ketika pandemik. So itu satu perkara yang kita banggakan dengan guru-guru kita di Malaysia. Dan insyaAllah untuk tahun hadapan, untuk PISA 2025 ini, saya yakin guru-guru kita sekarang ni bersama dengan murid-murid di sekolah, minggu ni minggu pertama dah mulakan interaksi yang sangat positif antara guru dengan murid dan saya yakin untuk PISA 2025 pencapaian kita akan lebih baik Dan anak-anak kita lebih bersedia, guru-guru juga lebih bersedia. Dan pihak-pihak yang berkaitan seperti bahagian pembangunan kurikulum, lembaga peperiksaan, bahagian usaha sekolah harian sudah ada plan-plan tertentu untuk membimbing, membantu guru-guru kita menyediakan murid-murid kita untuk PISA 2025 insyaAllah.
Okey, terima kasih Dato' Arafi. Saya minta maaf kerana ada banyak soalan lagi di ruangan chat, tapi atas kekangan masa dan juga ada perkara yang di pihak kekangan di pihak Dato' Arafi juga. Mungkin ada satu soalan daripada peserta webinar secara langsung.
Last 5
Untuk
minit
saya,
saya
maybe
kena,
one more
rush pergi
question,
parlimen
Dato'
sekarang.
Arafi.
Jadi Putrajaya
Oh,
ni.
okay, sorry.
Saya dah kena ke parlimen
Okay.
jap ni.
Okey, mengambil maklum perkara itu. Terima kasih
Tengok
Dato' Ahmad Rafi dan
last question.
juga
Okay, kalau ada.
is that any last question? Agent, sesuatu yang boleh tanya secara terus dengan Dr. Ahmad Rafi?
Assalamualaikum Doktor.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Saya Cikgu Zamharir dari
Zamharir.
SMK Kinarut.
Okey, Nairut Sabah. Okey.
Sahabat Doktor, saya melihat bahawa tim dan PISA tu satu yang bagus, tetapi di peringkat sekolah bila kita melihat kepada persediaan, saya nampak satu isu ialah berkaitan kesediaan itu bukan sahaja dari segi infrastruktur, kemudahan dari segi internet itu, tetapi dari segi emosi dan juga persediaan murid itu sendiri yang saya lihat perlu dikemaskan. Kenapa? Sebab untuk pemilihan itu dia secara random dan secara bukan yang kita mahu seperti yang kita sudah designkan. But inilah yang berlaku kenapa ada yang setengah-setengah sekolah itu tidak dapat satu keputusan yang baik kerana dari segi pemilihan dari segi murid itu perlu dilihat semula. Doktor, bagaimana pandangan doktor tentang itu?
Okey, terima kasih. Untuk memilih murid ni bukan kita yang pilih. Ini untuk makluman bersama untuk Teams, begitu juga PISA dan juga CPLM. Yang memilihnya adalah penganjurnya. Dalam PISA sebagai contoh, daripada kohort kita ada 400,000. Dia akan pilih dalam 2,000 lebih murid sebagai sampel. Siapa yang terpilih itu ditentukan oleh pihak penganjur, OECD lah. Dia ada strata sampling tu dan mereka yang menentukan, bukan kita. Termasuk sekolah KPM, mengikut strata-stratanya lah. Sekolah KPM, sekolah semua penuh, sekolah harian, sekolah agama, sekolah swasta, sekolah antarabangsa, sekolah agama rakyat. Semua tu masuk. Dan bukan kita yang memilih. Begitu juga murid-murid di tingkatan 4, biasanya untuk PISA ini, mereka akan cabut-cabut lah murid ni daripada sekolah. Jadi tak semestinya kalau ikut kita, tentulah kita nak tonjolkan murid-murid kelas yang terbaik kan, yang ada di negara kita. Tapi itu bukan realitinya sebab data ini adalah untuk mewakili keseluruhan anak-anak kita di sekolah. Sebab kita tahu anak-anak kita kat sekolah dia pun macam normal curve lah. Paling ramai berada di tengah, kita ada juga kelompok yang advance, begitu juga kelompok yang struggling. Jadi dalam pemilihan sampel secara rawak itu nanti yang dibuat oleh pihak OECD ataupun IA untuk Teams dan juga pihak ASA untuk CPLM, mereka yang menentukan daripada populasi, so bukan kita lah, yang kita tak boleh pilih. Okey, boleh saya berhenti kat situ. Saya ucap terima kasih kepada semua pihak yang mengambil bahagian dalam perbincangan. Ini bukanlah satu-satunya platform yang ada. Kan kalau cikgu-cikgu kita di KPM ni selalu boleh jumpa dengan saya dalam platform-platform yang lain. Cuma pihak UKM telah menyediakan platform ini. Terima kasih kepada pihak UKM dan kita rasa kalau ada ruang-ruang lagi, dan selepas ni kami ada banyak jelajah seluruh negara untuk berbincang khususnya tentang kurikulum 2027. So saya alu-alukan semua yang berminat untuk sama-sama menyumbangkan idea, memberikan pandangan dan untuk membantu kita sama-sama menambah baik sistem pendidikan negara. Saya mohon maaf kalau ada kekurangan. Terima kasih Doktor. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih Dr. Ahmad Rafi. Sebentar je, mohon masa sedikit sahaja untuk sesi bergambar. Untuk sesi bergambar, boleh. Saya mohon kerjasama kepada para peserta untuk buka kamera masing-masing untuk kita untuk sesi bergambar.
Oh, barulah nampak orangnya. Tadi cakap seorang-seorang rasa pelik.
Ready. 1, 2, 3. Kejap.
Tu baru satu skrin ni.
Banyak ni.
Ada 12 tu, Doktor.
1,
okay.
2, 3. Okey, banyak ni. 1, 1, 2, 3. Sekejap. Okey, 1, 2, 3. Sekejap. Okey, dah.
Dah selesai. Okey.
Okey.
Okey, terima
Okey,
kasih.
demikian tadi
Ria.
webinar kita jutaan terima kasih